And we begin with legal matters. A 41-year-old Congolese man implicated in the torture that was seen at Zanzu nightclub is expected back in the Pretoria Magistrates Court this morning for a formal bail application. The man was arrested in February following a video that went viral showing 8 men physically and sexually assaulting patrons. The accused is facing 6 charges of assault and 8 of compelled sexual assault. Earlier this month, the case was postponed for an identity parade to get underway. As soon as we can, we'll also get you the latest on that story. We'll stay with legal matters. The formal bail application of former SAA board member Yakhe Kwinana in her extortion case is continuing in the East London Magistrates Court. During her last appearance, the defense told the court that Kwinana had collapsed in prison cells and that she had been manhandled by police during her arrest. As such, they're arguing that detaining her in prison, given her condition, is not in the interest of justice. In fact, court is now in session. Let's listen in.
But could not reach your destiny. That's why she had to send the live location now. That means if she couldn't send that live location, you couldn't have get hold of her.
No. Their excuse.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bishop. The state now requests to call its third state witness, Your Worship, the arresting officer. Warrant Officer Javan, Your Worship, who is before court.
Your full name, sir?
It's Warrant Officer Rodney John Javan, Your Worship. Sorry, it's J-I-V-A-N, Your Worship.
Do you have any objection to taking oath?
I do not have any objection to taking the oath, Your Worship.
You swear that the evidence we shall give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, which carries of them, raise up right and say so before me.
So help me God.
As I've already stated, you are a warrant officer employed by the South African Police Service. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Worship.
And is it also correct, sir, that you were present in the arrest of the applicant before court?
That's correct, Your Worship.
And can you just tell this court where you are stationed?
I'm stationed at the Tactical Response Team in Western Cape, but I was currently attached to Operation Valam Kodi in Mpumalanga province.
And when did you become involved with this matter involving the applicant?
On the same day of it's on the 17th of March, we were called by the NIU Information and Protection Team of the Taxi Violence Investigation Team, the NIU Information Team, and they had information about regarding a suspect wanted on the J50 of East London, and that's how I got involved. And the problem was, while we were involved in the matter, is there was a security risk where SMS, as my previous colleague has testified now, where there is a matter of securities being present, and normally the securities are armed. So they asked our assistance in...
Okay, can you just give the evidence? Don't go very fast.
Sorry,
Because an opportunity to provide results.
okay, Worship.
You can take it from the call from the NIU.
Yes, we were called by them that they needed assistance to search and trace a suspect wanted on a J50 warrant of arrest from East London, in East London matter, Your Worship.
Please proceed, sir.
Right. At the briefing from those members of NIU, we were briefed that there's a suspect wanted in the matter, and there's security risk where they received, as my colleague said previously. The suspect in the matter has a security detail, and that they may be armed, and they need our assistance in the matter to effect the arrest on the suspect. The NIU information team apparently traced the address of where the suspect was at the moment. And myself, as a uniformed member, I was handed the J50 to effect the arrest on that specific day. So I was handed the J50 warrant, and I was going to be the arresting officer once we arrived at the scene. The NIU information team traced there was problems trying to trace the address of the suspect, and they themselves did some digging, and apparently they discovered that she is at a Blue Valley estate in Centurion, and we will proceed to that address, and we went.
Before you proceed, apologies for interjecting. You mentioned that there were problems tracing the address of the suspect.
It was according to them, their side that they were doing the info team, they had problems trying to trace her.
So no address was given to you?
At the time they said that she's in the Centurion area. They had an address, 76 Forest Road in Centurion.
Please do proceed.
Apparently they did some digging, and regarding a previous matter where she was arrested on, big matter, on the profile they found to be at the Blue Valley estate in Centurion, which we proceeded to continue to. At the gate of the premises as securities, we encountered some problems at the gate we tried to enter, which was the closest to Mr. address. They identified the address. Securities informed us we cannot enter from there. And that we have to proceed to the main entrance from the estate, where we had to go to process. They had to process our details before giving us access to the estate and notifying the tenant that the police is at the estate.
You say that you were told to go to the main entrance so that they can process you guys, as well as notify the tenant that you are coming. It was the applicant's evidence that she never was notified of the fact that the police were at the gate.
I cannot say anything like that. I cannot answer on that, but we were escorted by the security to our premises of the estate.
Please proceed, sir.
We then proceeded to the premises. And we arrived at the premises.
Please proceed.
We entered the premises. So to say, there was no security at the premises at the time.
So you are now saying that you have gone through the gates?
Sorry, security, like, as we were informed, she has security detail. But when we arrived at the place, there was no security at the premises.
Okay.
We found no security at the premises.
Who before we proceed, do you know who was in the house when you arrived?
When we entered the premises, we found Mr. Kwinana. Mrs. Kwinana. And the attorney that was present today, Mrs. Zanzu. That's correct? Zanzu.
And how were you dressed on the day when you arrived? How were you dressed, as well as you and the other officers you were with, and the cars which you were driving? Were they marked or unmarked vehicles?
We made use of marked vehicles. I was dressed the same manner as I'm dressed today, but I had my bulletproof as well as my battle jacket, because I'm from the tactical unit, the black jacket on top of it, and my headdress.
And the other members, were they also dressed the same way as you?
The other members were all dressed in their full tactical gear, from head to toe, with their helmets, rifles, everything. Myself, and the reason for them dressing in that manner was because of the threat at the end of the security that would be present of the accused.
If I understand you correctly, are you saying that you were all dressed in police uniform so that if they are security personnel, they would know you're the police?
That's correct, yes.
Please proceed, sir.
As I said myself, I was wearing my headdress. I wasn't dressed in the manner as them, because I was the one serving the J50 warrant, so I can identify myself to the accused that I'm addressing them.
Again, I just want to put it to you that the applicant before court mentioned that when you and your team arrived, she did not, I don't want to say she didn't see or she didn't know that it was the police, because she says that she couldn't identify you by your regalia, that you were the police, as well as the fact that she could not identify the vehicles that you were traveling in as belonging to those of the state.
Your Worship, I object to that line of questioning. That my client did not say that. My client said, I did not see the vehicles that were there, if they were branded or not.
With regards to the vehicles, yes, I do admit that she did say that she did not see the vehicles. However, with regards to the regalia, as you said, you were all dressed in tactical uniform. The tactical uniform that you have, does it have any insignia of you, of the police? Does it have any markings to show that you are from the police?
No, but we're wearing police uniform, but once you get on, it's totally dark. But as well as I said myself, I had my headdress on, the police star on, I had my uniform on, and when I came inside, I introduced myself, even providing my name badge for the police and identifying myself.
Who was the first person you met when you entered the house?
I introduced myself as a police officer, who I am, and then I stated what the reason for why I was there for. And then I asked, I'm here to serve, as I saw two ladies in the room that time. I asked who is, as the judge said, who's in Tombi Yakhe Kwinana. And she said, the accused responded, but she rectified it by saying it's Yakhe Kwinana, not Tombi Yakhe, as stated on the charge of it.
The reason why I asked is because it was the evidence of the defense Well, specifically the first state defense witness that you never introduced yourself when you entered the compound. You never introduced.
That's incorrect.
Please proceed, sir.
As I said, I then introduced myself and stated my reason for being there. I came to execute the J50 warrant. Identified myself by showing the name badge to her, which the accused wrote down as she had papers in front of her. She wrote down my surname on a piece of paper on the book that she had in front of her. I stated that it's a J50 warrant on the East London matter, case number 223 of 125 for malicious damage to property. It's then when the accused asked the question that what property is it for, the damaged property, which I informed her I do not know the contents of the case, the matter. I'm just here to serve the warrant that's in front of me.
And it was also the evidence of the applicant that she was under the impression that you were there to take a statement. Was there anything that was said about you visiting her area, her place or residence to take a statement?
She did mention the fact that she's surprised by us now there, and all I could answer, I do not know. I cannot answer on the question that she's asking herself and the attorney. They both had the same questions, and I informed them I cannot answer them on those questions they are asking me.
Please proceed with the testimony.
And my response to them is I'm only here to execute the J50 warrant that I was provided with to arrest the accused on mentioned on the J50 warrant. The accused then became riotous and saying that she won't be arrested. She started shouting that she won't be arrested, and she grabbed the table where she was sitting at, and she grabbed the table. She said, "You won't take me, she won't," and she won't be arrested. She was continuously shouting that, and she was in a hysterical state, and then she was brought under restraint, and was taken from the room to the vehicle.
You used the words after saying that the applicant before court became hysterical and then she had to be restrained. Can you just explain when you say she had to be restrained?
She was physically restrained by bounding her hands
and
to bring her under control.
Was there resistance given while the restraining was being done?
There was resistance from she was bound in front actually, not in front.
Because it's the evidence of the applicant that she was manhandled, and due to the manhandling, she sustained bruising,
No.
which he attributes to the manhandling by the police.
She was hysterical. She was on the table. The chair fell. The chair that she was even fell in the process as it was. She was going on, and the police brought her under control, and she was disturbed.
I know the answer is clear, but is that a sign of someone who is cooperating with the police?
No, my worship.
Please proceed, sir.
Myself, I stayed behind, and then I spoke to the attorney and Mr. Kwinana, as I said to them that I wasn't done speaking at that time. I informed her of her rights and of her arrest, and I spoke to the attorney. I told her, and then I also noticed at that time when I was speaking to her, the book of Mrs. Kwinana. I informed the attorney that she spelled my name wrong. And I again showed the attorney my name. I myself rectified my surname because she spelled it with a G-A something in it. And I myself rectified it on there so that she can, because I want to know them to know who was the person who inflicted the arrest. And I identified myself correctly, not incorrectly at that time.
And it's also the evidence of the defense that at the time of the applicant being arrested, her constitutional rights were never explained to her.
And when I got outside, she was calm. She was more calm at that time. And then I explained to her again that I am warrant officer. I started the process again with her. In fact, I am warrant officer Javon. The reason for me for being there, executing the J50 warrant with the charges and the case number. And then I informed her of her constitutional rights. And I can even say something that happened there.
Please do enlighten us, sir.
One of the constitutional rights is that I explained to she had the right to remain silent, that she doesn't have to say anything to us. And then I asked her if she understood. My last part was if she understood. And I got no response from her at the time. And I was confused actually why she's not responding. And then she said, "You said I must be quiet." So I said, "Okay, you're practicing your right to keep silent." So I said, "Okay, thank you." So I did explain to her rights, and then from there, she was transported to Sandton Steps for further detention.
And since you have been doing this for quite some time, would you constitute that as a lawful arrest?
Yes, sure.
Please continue.
The attorney as well as her husband was informed that she will be taken to Sandton Steps for further detention, which we then left when we went to Sandton Steps.
Your worship again. Your worship. I feel that if this is a repetition of things, we are not disputing this, or however this person was taken to. I wish my learned friend can just go to where he needs to, needs the court to see, or aspects that he feels that he needs to dispute. We have this evidence on record. It is there that my client was taken to the holding cells. She slept over and went to run to court the following day. Time is against us, and it is also against the liberty of someone. Thank you. I'm not guiding my learned friend I'm not teaching him how to do his work, but at least on aspects that he knows are not in dispute. He cannot let the witness to testify, but he needs to guide that witness to where there are disputes. Thank you.
If I may reply, Your Worship, there was a bone of contention yesterday regarding the admission of the statement of Warrant Officer Javar. And that contention was based on the fact that the state, did not put the version of Warrant Officer Javar to the applicant. And that was said. And I had never cross-examined her on that version. And I put it before court that there were two conflicting versions before court. And it was the state's intention to call the state witness saying, or rather to give a full picture of the events of that day, to clarify discrepancies between the testimonies of the first defense witness, the first defense case, as well as the second. And some of these aspects are still going to be clarified by the testimony of Warrant Officer Javan, especially one of the aspects of the second defense witness mentioned that she was never even told as to when the applicant would be appearing before court. It was her testimony. And Warrant Officer Javan is the perfect person to explain that. Therefore, the state is requesting humbly that he continue with his testimony as he is, as it becomes further clearer to the court that the defense is misleading this court with regards to the aspects of the arrest in its entirety.
Your Worship, if I may, I do not know whether my learned friend understand what was said yesterday. The issue was not to dispute the evidence that is there, but the issue was whether he has confronted my client while she was on witness stand on evidence that was there, that was given to this court. And if my learned friend also, there were aspects that she may have not testified, she may have testified on, but not confronted. That's the crux of the issue. We are not in dispute of the statements that are there. We do not know what is in those statements. But the state had the privilege of having the docket and everything that is contained there. When my client took the witness stand, she was supposed to have been confronted with these discrepancies. That now the state is wasting time calling all the witnesses to testify on aspects that were not gainsaid against my client. Thank you.
Yesterday I did raise this issue, and I even asked him whether he's accepting that the version of the state witnesses was never put to the applicant as well as the applicant's state witnesses, and he confirmed that is the case. Now, the mention of the statement, he indicated that he will call this witness to testify in relation to the arrest.
Yes.
But what I can, that is what is happening now. However, there are some parts of the evidence where you see that they are not in dispute.
Yes.
If you can relate at least to the witness to touch on those aspects that you think that they are in dispute.
Yes, Your Worship. That's what I was also saying. Thank you, Worship.
All right, so those are live visuals coming from inside the East London Magistrates Court. We spent a considerable amount of time listening into the testimony there of Warrant Officer Rodney Javan. He, in fact, is the individual that effected the arrest against former SAA board member Yakhe Kwinana. And this, of course, in some ways has been central to her bid, that's Yakhe Kwinana, to get bail. She had, of course, on multiple occasions claimed that she wasn't aware that she was being arrested at the time. In fact, she's mentioned in this court that she thought she was just going to accompany police to give a statement. She's mentioned several times that she also thought she was being kidnapped because the individuals who were there to effect that arrest were wearing balaclavas. A lot of that has been disputed by Rodney Javan, who's currently on the stand, who said that he introduced himself and offered his badge on more than one occasion. He also says that he stated his reasons why he was there. He's also told the court that he was dressed in a police uniform. Those who were accompanying him were dressed in technical gear, including bulletproof vests and helmets. He's explained to the court that Yakhe Kwinana at some stage became riotous, saying she won't be arrested. In fact, at some stage was in a hysterical state and had to be restrained. The defense, of course, has taken exception to the line of questioning, saying a lot of that is, in fact, not in dispute, which is an interesting comment to be made, and has accused the state of wasting time by calling witnesses to give testimony on issues that are not in dispute. We'll, of course, keep listening in for you to get a sense of the extent to which the court agrees with that as that bail application continues.